The world is still asleep, shrouded in the deep, velvety blue of But here, on the edge of a vast, silent forest, the first stirrings of life begin. A thin wisp of smoke, pale gray against the dark canopy, curls upward from the heart of the camp. It's the ghost of last night's fire, a sentinel that stood guard through the long, cold hours. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth, of pine needles, and the sharp, clean smell of flint. It's a perfume as old as the hills themselves. A figure moves in the half-light, a woman, her silhouette soft against the glowing embers. She adds a few dry branches to the fire, coaxing it back to life. The wood crackles, a small, intimate sound in the immense quiet. Another woman joins her, carrying a hide bag heavy with gathered roots. Their movements are slow, deliberate, a rhythm practiced over countless mornings just like this one. They don't speak, not with words. Their shared understanding flows between them, a silent language of purpose and community. The gentle, rhythmic grinding of stone on stone begins, as one of them starts to prepare the morning's meal. As the sky lightens from indigo to a soft, bruised purple, the men emerge from their shelters of mammoth bone and hide. They stretch, their bodies strong and weathered. One picks up a long, flint-tipped spear, testing its weight, his eyes already scanning the forest edge. Another to move silently towards the tree line, their mission to check the snares and traps laid yesterday. Every movement is efficient, honed by necessity. In Tiswold, survival is a dance, and every step must be precise. There's a quiet confidence in that posture, a deep-seated knowledge of the land and its creatures. Now, a small sound from one of the shelters. A child wakes, not with a cry, but with a soft murmur. They push aside the heavy fur flap and peer out. The world they see is one of comforting routine, the growing warmth of the fire, the familiar shapes of their family moving through the dawn, the smell of cooking food mingling with the scent of wood smoke and morning dew. The camp is a small island of human warmth in a vast, untamed wilderness. The child's eyes, wide with a not yet forgotten dream, take in the scene. This is home. The sun has not yet breached the horizon, but its light is spreading, a golden promise painting the undersides of the high, thin clouds. The forest is beginning to wake. A distant bird calls, its song a clear, simple melody. The sound travels across the mammoth steppe, that great, grassy ocean that stretches to the end of the world. It's a land of giants, a world of ice and wind. But in this small pocket, in this camp, there is a fragile, resilient peace. The women continue their work, hands moving with an ageless grace. The hunters are gone, swallowed by the woods, and the child watches the flames dance, feeling the first real warmth of the new day on their face. This is a moment suspended in time, a single breath in the long story of humanity. Before the great hunts, before the long journeys, today's tis the quiet morning. It's a time of preparation, of silent communion, of simple existence. The tools are simple stone, wood, and bone. The needs are fundamental warmth, food, and safety. But the emotions are as complex and deep as our own. The love of a mother for her child, the bond between a hunting party, the respect for the world that gives and takes in equal measure. Imagine the air. It's so clean and cold it feels like a drink of water. You can taste the minerals from the nearby stream, the pollen from the first hardy flowers pushing through the cold ground. The sounds are subtle but many, the whisper of wind through the skeletal branches of a silver birch, the distant rumble of a herd of something large, the soft scuff of a hide boot on frozen ground. Every sound has meaning, a piece of information to be logged and understood. To live here is to be constantly listening, constantly aware. The child, now fully awake, pads barefoot over to the fire. One of the women smiles, her face lined with the stories of many seasons, and hands them a small piece of roasted root, still warm. The child gnaws on it, their eyes still fixed on the flames. In the dance of the fire, they see shapes, they see stories, they see the great beasts, the running figures, the spirits of the forest. The fire is more than just heat. It's a source of light, a place for community, a portal to the imagination. The sun finally breaks free. A brilliant, blinding ray of light slices through the trees, illuminating the camp in a glorious, golden wash. The smoke from the fire turns from gray to a shimmering gold. The frost on the ground glitters like a carpet of diamonds. The world is transformed, reborn in the light of a new day. A collective sigh seems to pass through the camp. The night is over. The dangers of the dark have been kept at bay for one more cycle. The preparations are almost complete. Water has been fetched in clay pots. The morning's small harvest of roots and berries is being divided, and the fire now roars with a confident strength. The women talk now, their voices low and melodic, discussing the day's task. The child plays near the fire with a smooth, carved stone, a toy that is also a tool, a lesson in the making. The whole scene is one of incredible, understated beauty, a testament to human resilience, our ability to carve out a life, a home, in even the harshest of landscapes. This is not a world of grand monuments or written histories, but its legacy is etched into our very DNA. This quiet morning, on the edge of the ancient world, is where our story truly begins. Thank you for joining us on this journey back in time. Be sure to follow for the next chapter of this incredible story. Welcome back to our journey into the deep past. Today, we're re-tackling a huge misconception about our ancient ancestors. The idea that men were the only ones making stone tools. Get ready to have your mind blown, because we're about to uncover the hidden history of female flint knapping. For a long time, archaeologists just assumed that the skeletons buried with beautiful flint tools were men. The classic image. Right, man the toolmaker. But recent science is rewriting that story. By re-examining old finds with new technology, we're discovering something incredible. Many of those skilled artisans were actually women. Let's travel back to the Upper Paleolithic, a time of mammoths and cave paintings. In places like modern-day France and the Czech Republic, archaeologists have found burial sites that are just breathtaking. One famous example is the Lady of Cavallin in Italy, dating back about 24,000 years. She was buried with an elaborate headdress of shells and deer teeth, covered in red ochre, and surrounded by the finest flint tools. For years, she was assumed to be a man, a chieftain, simply because of the high-quality grave goods. But modern analysis of her skeleton confirmed she was female. The tools weren't just for a man she was related to. T.I. weary hairs, a testament to her status and skill. This isn't an isolated case. Across Europe, we find similar burials. Women of high status were often laid to rest with their personal flint knapping kits. These weren't just simple flakes. We're talking about long, elegant blades, expertly crafted scrapers, and sharp burins used for engraving. Making these tools requires immense skill, strength, and a deep understanding of the stone. It's a craft passed down through generations. Think about it. Who is with the children the most, teaching them the essential skills for survival? The mothers. It makes perfect sense that mothers would be the ones passing on this vital knowledge. How to find the right stone, how to strike it perfectly, how to create the exact tool needed for a specific task, whether it's preparing hides, carving bone, or butchering an animal. Knowledge was the key to survival, and women were the keepers and teachers of that knowledge. Now, let's jump forward to the Neolithic period, when our ancestors started farming. You might think that with the rise of agriculture, things changed, and maybe toolmaking did become a more specialized male role. But the evidence says otherwise. In many early farming communities, we continue to find women buried with flint tools, especially sickle blades. These aren't the big, curved metal sickles you might imagine. They were made from small, sharp, flint inserts set into a handle of wood or bone. They were used to harvest the first crops of wheat and barley. Analysis of female skeletons from this period often shows specific types of wear on their bones and teeth, consistent with repetitive tasks like grinding grain and, you guessed it, using these flint sickles for hours on end. In a Neolithic village in what is now Germany, a burial site revealed a woman laid to rest with a complete flint knapper's toolkit, including hammerstones, antler presser flagers, and a stash of high-quality raw flint. This wasn't just someone who used tools. This was someone who made them, and likely supplied them to her community. She was a craftswoman, an artisan, a vital part of her society's economy. So what does all this tell us? It shatters the outdated stereotype of man the hunter, woman the gatherer. The ancient world was far more complex and collaborative. Skills weren't strictly divided by gender. Toolmaking, one of the most fundamental human technologies, was a shared expertise. Women weren't just passive participants in prehistory. They were active innovators, creators, and teachers. They were engineers of the Stone Age. This understanding is crucial because it gives us a more accurate and complete picture of our own history. It shows that collaboration and the sharing of knowledge across the entire community, regardless of gender, has been the key to human success from the very beginning. The mother was not just a caregiver. She was a keeper of knowledge, a master of technology, and a central pillar of ancient society. By recognizing the female flint knapper, we're not just adding women to the story. We are fundamentally changing the narrative. We're moving from a simple, binary view of the past to one that is richer, more dynamic, and far more interesting. It proves that the skills that allowed humanity to thrive were never the exclusive property of one gender. They belonged to everyone. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. I hope this changes the way you think about the Stone Age. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next chapter. See you next time. The fire crackles, a steady, rhythmic pulse in the heart of our home. Outside, the world is vast and ancient, but here, in this small circle of warmth, time seems to slow down. It's in these quiet moments that curiosity sparks. My little one, nestled close, points a small finger toward the ring of stones that guard our fire. Not the smooth river stones, but the other ones, the sharp ones. Their edges glint in the flickering light, telling a story of purpose and creation. Mama, a small voice whispers, those stones, they're broken. I look down into wide, questioning eyes. How did they get like that? A smile finds my lips. I've been waiting for this question. It's a sign, a rite of passage almost. The moment a child stops, just seeing the world, and starts asking asterisk how asterisk it works. I pull them closer. The scent of wood smoke and pine clinging to us. They're not broken, my love, I say softly. They were made, shaped by hands, just like yours and mine. But with a special kind of knowledge. This is more than just a lesson about rocks. This is about survival, about heritage. It's the story of our ancestors. A skill passed down through countless generations, whispered from parent to child beside countless fires, just like this one. Looking at that earnest, curious face, I know. Today is the day. Today, I will pass on that whisper. They're twos, I explain, picking one up carefully. This sharp edge. It helps us cut, prepare our food, and shape wood. It's one of the first and most important skills our people ever learned. I run my thumb over the flaked surface, filling the ridges and valleys left by a careful, practiced hand my own. Each mark is a memory of a successful strike, a moment of focused intent. Do you want to see how it's done? The nod is immediate, eyes shining with an excitement that warms me more than the fire itself. It's a sacred trust, this sharing of knowledge. It connects us to the past and forges a path to the future. It's the very foundation of who we are. So, we leave the cozy comfort of the hearth and step out into the crisp air. The world feels new, seen through the lens of this burgeoning curiosity. Our destination is the creek bed, a place we visited 100 times for water and play. But today, we're not looking for splashing spots or smooth skipping stones. Today, we are on a quest. We need to find the right kind of stone, I tell my child, my voice low and serious, imbuing the task with the importance it deserves. Not just any rock will do. We need one that will listen. We search, our hands sifting through the cool, damp stones. I point out the difference is the soft, crumbly sandstone, the hard, unyielding granite. We're looking for chert, I say, or flint. Field this one. I hand over a dull, waxy-looking piece. It has a special quality. When you strike it just right, it breaks in a predictable way, creating an edge as sharp as any tooth or claw. Finally, we find a few promising nodules. They feel heavy and full of potential in our hands. We carry our treasures back, not to the fire, but to a clearing where we have space to work. I lay them out on a large, flat rock that will serve as our anvil. The second part of our toolkit is what we call a hammerstone. I select a round, hard cobble from my own collection, worn smooth from years of use. The first thing you must learn is safety. I begin positioning my child a safe distance away. The stone can be unpredictable. Small, sharp flakes will fly. You must always protect your eyes and your hands. I show them how to hold the core stone, how to brace it against their leg, cushioned by a thick piece of leather. Now, watch. I take the hammer stone and with a sharp controlled motion, I strike the edge of the chert nodule. Asterisk crack. Asterisk a flake of stone shears off, falling to the ground. It's not the one I wanted, but it's a start. This is a conversation with the stone, and the first word has been spoken. I adjust my grip, feel the angle, and strike again. Asterisk. Tink. Asterisk. This time, a long, thin flake detaches its edge, almost translucent and incredibly sharp. I pick it up with care and hold it out. See, this is what we're looking for. My child reaches out a tentative finger, touching the edge with a gasp of wonder. It's sharp. Very sharp, I affirm. This small piece alone is a useful tool. For the next hour, I demonstrate the process. The initial shaping, or decortication, where we remove the rough outer layer of the stone. Then, the more precise work of striking off usable flakes. I explain how to read the stone, to see the lines of force, to anticipate how it will break. It's an intuitive process, one that can't fully be taught with words. It must be felt. Your turn, I say, handing over a smaller core and a lighter hammerstone. The first attempts are clumsy. The hammerstone glances off with a dull thud. The strikes are either too soft to do anything or too uncontrolled, shattering the edge into useless fragments. Frustration begins to cloud that bright, curious face. It's hard, comes the dejected murmur. Of course it's hard, I reply gently, placing my hand over theirs. Everything worth doing is hard at first. Your hands don't have the memory yet, but they will. I guide their arm, showing them the flick of the wrist, the precise point of impact. Don't just hit it, feel where it wants to break. Listen to it. We practice together, strike after strike. Most are failures, but then it happens. A solid asterisk, thwack, asterisk, and a small, well-formed flake detaches cleanly. It's not perfect, but it's a beginning. A huge grin spreads across my child's face, a look of pure, unadulterated pride. They hold up the tiny, sharp piece of rock as if it were the most precious jewel in the world. And in that moment, it is. That small flake represents so much more than a sharp edge. It's the birth of a skill. It's a direct connection to a lineage, stretching back to the dawn of our people. It's the confidence of knowing you can create what you need from the earth around you. As I watch my child turn the piece of flint over and over in their small hand, I see not just a child with a rock, but a link in a chain that will not be broken. The sun begins to dip low, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. We pack up our stones, the successes and the failures, and head back toward the warmth of our home. The conversation is different now, peppered with questions about angles and platforms and different kinds of rock. The world has opened up in a new way. A simple walk in the woods will never be the same. Every stone now holds a question, a possibility. Back at the hearth, the fire still burns brightly. We place our new creations, my expertly crafted flake and my child's first triumphant chip side by side on the mantle. They are different in skill, but equal in significance. One is a product of experience, the other, the seed of it. As we settle in for the night, the questions continue, softer now, drifting toward sleep. Mama ... tomorrow ... Can we try again? Yes, my love, I whisper back into the darkness, my heart full. Tomorrow, and the day after, and for as many days as it takes. We have all the time in the world. And in the quiet of the night, surrounded by the enduring strength of stone and the crackling life of the fire, I know we are exactly where we are meant to be. The skills of the past are now alive in the hands of the future. The circle is complete. Come, sit with me. Let's look at what the river has given us today. See all these stones? They look ordinary, don't they? But hidden inside them is everything we need. Fire, knives, spear points, our future. But first, you have to learn to see, not just with your eyes, but with your hands, your ears. You have to learn the language of the stone. This place, where the river bends and slows, is a treasure trove. The water has done much of the work for us, tumbling these rocks for countless seasons, breaking them open, showing us their secrets. We call this stone flint, but it has many cousins. Some are dark and glossy, like a raven's eye. That's obsidian, a gift from the Fire Mountains, sharp but brittle. Others are waxy and duller, in shades of brown, gray, or even red. We call that chert. They all belong to the same family, a family of stone that breaks in a special way. Look closely at this one. Run your fingers over the outside. It's rough, chalky. This is the cortex. This stone's protective skin. It tells us nothing about the heart within. The real quality is hidden. Now, let's find another. See this one? It's darker, almost black, and feels smooth, cool to the touch. This one was washed down from the high cliffs. And this, a beautiful honey-colored piece, translucent when you hold it to the sun. Each color tells a story about where the stone was born, what minerals it shared the earth with. But beauty isn't what we're looking for. We need strength. We need predictability. The best flint breaks with what we call a conchoidal fracture. Imagine dropping a pebble into still water. See the ripples that spread out in perfect circles? That's how good flint should break. It creates a surface that is curved and smooth, like the inside of a seashell. This predictable break is what allows us to shape it, to control it. A poor stone will crumble or shatter unpredictably, wasting our time and effort. So, how do we know what's inside without breaking every single one? First, we listen. Pick up this stone. It's a good size, fits nicely in your palm. Now, take this smaller hammerstone and tap it gently. Listen. Hear that dull thud? It's like hitting wet wood. That sound tells me the stone is full of cracks. Or maybe it's too coarse, too grainy. It's a dead stone. It has no life, no voice. We'll leave that one for the river. Now, try this one. It's heavier than it looks. Dense. Tap it. Hear that? A clear, high-pitched ring. It sings to you. That's the sound of a stone that is solid, uniform, and eager to be worked. That sound travels through a consistent, glassy structure. That's a good sign. It tells us the stone is alive. It has potential. Next, we look for clues. Sometimes, a stone has an old break on it. Find a fresh surface. One, tut, asen, T-bin, weathered, and worn smooth by the water. See the texture here. It's dull, almost sugary. You can see tiny, sparkling grains. This is a coarse-grained chert. It will make a serviceable tool, a scraper perhaps, but it will never hold a truly fine, razor-sharp edge. It will be difficult to flake finely. Now look at this one. The fresh break on this piece is different. It's smooth, almost like glass. There are no visible grains. It has a waxy, almost greasy luster to it. TC Sweatwi. Re-looking for. This is high-quality flint. This stone will break cleanly. It will allow us to peel off long, thin flakes with precision. This is the kind of stone from which we can make the sharpest knives and the deadliest spear points. It feels different in your hand, doesn't it? It has a certain energy. Let's check for hidden dangers. Even a good-looking, good-sounding stone can have invisible flaws. These are called inclusions. Sometimes a pocket of chalky cortex is trapped inside, or a fossil, or a crystal. These create weak spots. When you strike the stone, the force will travel until it hits one of these spots, and then it will stop, or veer off in a direction you don't want. The flake will hinge and break off short, ruining the tool. Look for any changes in color or texture on the surface. Little spots or lines can indicate a problem lurking within. We want a stone that is uniform, homogeneous, one color, one texture, all the way through. Heat can also be an enemy. If a stone has been in a fire, it becomes brittle and unreliable. Look for fine, web-like cracks on the surface, a pattern called crazing, or sometimes the stone changes color, turning reddish or gray. These stones are best avoided. They have been tempered by fire, but not in a way we can use. Later, I will teach you how we can use fire carefully to improve a stone, but a wildfire only damages them. So, the process is simple, but it takes practice. First, we select for size and shape. We want a nodule that is not too flat and not too round, one that offers good platforms to strike. Then, we listen for that clear, bright ring. We examine any exposed surfaces for a fine, glassy grain. We look for any signs of inclusions or frost fractures. We are like hunters, tracking the spirit of the stone. We read the signs and learn its nature before we ever strike the first blow. Go on now. You try. Walk the riverbank. Pick up the stones that call to you. Don't just look at them. Feel their weight. Listen to their voice. Look for the signs I've shown you. Don't worry about finding the perfect stone today. Today is about learning to see, to feel, to listen. It's about starting a conversation that will last your entire life. Gather a few that you think are promising, and we will examine them together. The river has given us many lessons today, and the most important one is patience. The right stone is waiting for you. You just have to learn how to find it. Thanks for joining our journey today. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more chapters from our past. Hello again, and welcome back to our journey into the deep past. Settle in, get comfortable, and let's travel back in time together. Tonight, we're going to learn the very first lesson that our ancient ancestors mastered. A lesson written not in books, but in stone. Imagine yourself, hundreds of thousands of years ago, sitting by a riverbed. The world is quiet, save for the gentle flow of water and the rustle of leaves. In your hand, you hold a smooth, hard stone. A piece of flint, perhaps. This isn't just a rock, it's a world of possibility. But how do you unlock it? The secret lies in understanding how stone behaves. It's not about brute force. You can't just smash two rocks together and hope for the best. Well, you can, but you won't get a sharp tool. You'll just get a mess of shattered pieces. Our ancestors learned this through countless generations of trial and error. They became the first physicists, the first engineers, all without a single word of theory. They learned to listen to the stone. The magic they discovered is something we now call a conchoidal fracture. It's a beautiful word, isn't it? It comes from the Greek word for shell, and that's exactly what it looks like when you strike a fine-grained stone like flint or obsidian in just the right way. It doesn't crumble. It breaks with a smooth, curved surface, like the inside of a seashell. This fracture is beautifully predictable, and that predictability is what made all of stone tool technology possible. Think of it like this. Imagine dropping a pebble into a still pond. Ripples spread out from the point of impact in perfect circles. A conchoidal fracture is a bit like that, but frozen in 3 dimensions, inside the stone. The force from your strike travels through the material not randomly, but in a cone-shaped wave. This wave of force is what creates that clean, shell-like break. This special cone of force has a name. The Hertzian cone, named after the scientist who first described it. But long before any scientist gave it a name, our ancestors understood it intimately. They knew that if they struck the edge of a stone at the right angle with the right amount of force, they could control exactly how this cone of force would travel and pop a flake off the other side. To do this, they needed to prepare their stone. They didn't just hit it anywhere. They would look for, or create, a specific spot to strike. This spot is called a platform. A platform is a flat, or nearly flat, surface on the edge of the stone, positioned at just the right angle to the stone's face. Think of it as a little stage for your hammerstone to perform on. The angle of this platform is crucial. Too steep, and the force goes straight down, crushing the edge. Too shallow, and the force just skims off the surface, doing nothing. But get it just right, somewhere around 70 to 80 degrees, and you have the perfect setup. When you strike that platform, all the energy is directed inwards, initiating that beautiful Hertzian cone. The force travels down through the stone, curving outwards, and eventually exits on the other side, detaching a flake. And here's the most brilliant part. The edge of that flake is incredibly sharp. We're talking about an edge that can be just a few molecules thick, far sharper than any steel scalpel we can make today. This was the birth of the cutting edge. This wasn't an accident. It was a deeply understood science. An ancient flint knapper could look at a piece of stone and see the tools hidden within it. They could read the subtle lines and textures, feel the weight and balance in their hand, and know just where to strike. They could visualize the path the fracture would take before they even swung their hammer. It was a conversation between the human hand, the mind, and the stone itself. They would carefully turn the stone, or core, in their hands, preparing platform after platform. With each strike, they would remove another flake, slowly shaping the core into a tool, like a hand axe, or using the flakes themselves as knives, scrapers, or arrowheads. Every single flake tells a story. On the back of a flake, you can often see the ripples from the impact, spreading out just like those ripples in the pond. You can see the point where the hammerstone struck the platform. You can even see the small bulb of percussion, the very top of that Hertzian cone, right below the platform. Archaeologists can read these features like a book, reconstructing the exact sequence of actions the ancient knapper took. It's a process that is both incredibly simple and profoundly complex. It's based on a fundamental property of nature, but it took the unique intelligence and dexterity of the human lineage to unlock its potential. This intuitive understanding of physics, of angles and force, was the foundation upon which all future technology was built. It was the first time we truly shaped the world to our will, not by overpowering it, but by understanding it. As you drift off to sleep, imagine that ancient artisan. Picture the focus in their eyes, the practiced, fluid motion of their arm, the sharp crack as stone meets stone, and the quiet satisfaction of seeing a perfect, sharp flake fall away, ready to be used. This was the first lesson, the one that taught us how to make our mark on the world. It was a lesson of patience, of observation, and of a deep, quiet connection with the materials around us. A lesson written in stone for all of time. Sleep well. Hey everyone, and welcome back to our journey into the past. Today, we're diving into something that's often overlooked when we think about ancient crafts. Safety. It wasn't just about having the skill to create something beautiful or functional. It was about having the wisdom to do it safely, day after day. This knowledge was a sacred trust, passed down from one generation to the next. So, let's step into Chapter 6. Creating a safe working space. Imagine this scene. A mother and her child, out in the open. The sun is warm on their backs. Before any work begins, the first lesson is taught. The mother carefully scans the ground, her experienced eyes looking for the perfect spot. She clears away loose twigs, sharp rocks, and anything that could cause a stumble or a fall. It's a deliberate, almost ceremonial act. She's not just clearing a space. She's defining a sanctuary, a place where focus and creativity can flourish without unnecessary risk. Once the area is clear, she lays down a thick hide sheet. This isn't just for comfort. It serves multiple purposes. It creates a clean surface, preventing their tools and materials from getting lost in the dirt. It also provides a protective barrier against the damp or rough ground. For anyone who's ever spent hours kneeling or sitting on a hard surface, you know how quickly discomfort can turn into pain. This simple hide sheet is a fundamental piece of their toolkit, ensuring they can work for longer periods without strain. Next, she carefully arranges a few smooth, flat stones around the edge of the hide. These aren't random. Each one has a purpose. One might be a stable base for a piece they're reworking on. Another might be a designated spot to place a sharp tool, keeping it secure and within easy reach, but out of the way of an accidental knock. This is the ancient equivalent of organizing your workbench. It's about creating a system where everything has its place, minimizing clutter and maximizing efficiency and safety. The child watches every single movement, their eyes wide with curiosity. They are absorbing not just the how, but the why. Now, let's talk about personal protective equipment. The mother takes smaller softy pieces of hide or perhaps thick, woven plant fibers, and shows the child how to wrap them around their shins and knees. This is their padding. If they're going to be striking stone or working with sharp flakes, this padding protects their legs from painful misses or flying debris. It is a simple but incredibly effective way to prevent cuts and bruises that could otherwise become infected and dangerous in a world without modern medicine. Think about It's a deep gash. Could be a life-threatening injury. This simple act of wrapping their legs is a profound lesson in foresight and self-preservation. Then comes the lesson on posture. The mother demonstrates how to sit. She doesn't just plop down. She sits cross-legged or kneels in a way that keeps her back straight and her core engaged. She shows the child how to lean from the hips, not slump from the shoulders. This isn't about looking proper. It's about ergonomics. A strong, stable posture prevents back pain and fatigue, allowing for more precise and controlled movements. It also creates a solid foundation, a human vice, for the work they are about to do. A tired, aching body makes for sloppy, dangerous work. By teaching proper posture from the very beginning, she's gifting her child a lifetime of pain-free crafting. Hand and on positions are next. She holds a tool and demonstrates the correct grip, firm but not tense. She shows how to position the non-dominant and the one holding the material, keeping fingers curled away from the impact zone. She explains how to use the entire arm and shoulder to generate force, not just the wrist, which can easily be strained. Every gesture is economical and purposeful. She might even have the child practice the motions without any tools at first, building muscle memory for the safe and correct way to move. It's like a dance, a choreography of safety passed down through countless hands. Throughout this entire process, the mother is narrating her actions, explaining the reasoning behind each step. We clear the ground so we don't trip. We place the tool stone here so we always know where it is. Keep your fingers tucked like this. See, she's not just giving instructions. She's building a deep-seated understanding of risk and respect for the materials in the craft. And the child is a sponge. They aren't just watching. They are learning a philosophy. They are learning that preparation is just as important as the act of creation itself, that their body is their most important tool and must be protected. They are learning to see the world in terms of safety, of cause and effect. This lesson, happening on a simple patch of cleared earth, is more profound than any written manual. It's a living lesson in mindfulness, responsibility, and the sacred bond between a teacher and a student. This careful, deliberate creation of a safe workspace is the invisible foundation upon which all other skills are built. Without it, the risk of injury is high, and a craft cannot be sustained. It's a testament to the intelligence and foresight of our ancestors. They understood that to create, one must first protect. The hide on the ground, the stones in their places, the padding on their legs, they're all part of a silent promise. We will do this work with skill, with respect, and we will return to do it again tomorrow, whole and unharmed. This whole process is a masterclass in risk management. It's about anticipating problems before they happen. A stray spark, a slipped tool, a sharp flake flying off. They've thought about these possibilities and have taken steps to mitigate them. It's a proactive approach to safety that we can all learn from, whether we're working with stone tools or power tools. The principles remain the same. Know your environment, protect your body, and respect your tools. As the mother finishes her setup, she looks at the child, a quiet question in her eyes. The child then mimics her actions, perhaps a bit clumsily at first, but with a clear understanding of the goal. They clear their own small space, position their own little stones. This is the final and most important part of the lesson. Doing it yourself. Knowledge isn't truly yours until you put it into practice. Through this hands-on learning, the sacred knowledge is officially passed on, ensuring the survival of their craft and their people. Thank you so much for joining me for this look into the importance of a safe workspace. It is a beautiful reminder that the wisdom of our ancestors extends far beyond just the artifacts they left behind. If you found this interesting, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more chapters in our journey. See you next time. Chapter 7. The First Strike. The world held its breath. The sun, a warm hand on her back, seemed to pause in its journey across the sky. All sound faded, leaving only the soft whisper of the wind through the tall grasses and the steady, rhythmic beat of her own heart. In her hands, she held the accumulated wisdom of 1,000 generations. The hammerstone, smooth and heavy, was an old friend. Its weight was a comfort, a familiar anchor in a world of constant change. The core stone, a piece of church she had carried for miles, rested patiently on her leather-clad knee. It was a stone full of promise, its dark, glassy heart holding the secret of a sharp edge. The child watched, eyes wide, with a mixture of awe and anticipation. 4 days, they had practiced. The child's small hands had fumbled with the stones, the strikes clumsy and ineffective, resulting in nothing more than dull thuds and shattered fragments. Frustration had clouded those bright eyes, but the mother had been a well of endless patience. She would simply touch the child's shoulder, a silent gesture of encouragement, and demonstrate again. She showed how to feel the stone, to read its lines and ridges, to understand its language. She taught the child to listen for the subtle hum of potential within the rock. Now, it was her turn. She was not just making a tool. She was weaving a story, a lesson in stone and intention. She shifted her grip on the hammerstone, her fingers finding their familiar places. She angled the core stone just so. The platform prepared, the edge aligned. This was a dance of angles and force, a precise choreography she knew by heart. She drew a slow, deep breath, centering herself, her mind clearing of everything but this single, pivotal moment. The world was this stone, this hammer, this child. She lifted the hammerstone. It rose in a graceful, deliberate arc, a small sun glinting off its polished surface. Her arm was an extension of her will, every muscle engaged, every fiber aligned for this one purpose. For a fraction of a second, the hammerstone hung at the apex of its swing, a perfect stillness between past and future. Then it descended. It was not a swing of brute force, but of controlled, focused energy, a transfer of power, a conversation between her and the stone. The impact, it wasn't a dull thud or a shattering crash. It was a sharp, clear ring, a sound like a tiny bell, pure and resonant, that sang through the quiet air. It was the sound of creation. A perfect Hertzian cone of force bloomed within the chert, invisible to the eye, but felt in the very marrow of the bones. A shockwave, faster than thought, raced through the crystalline structure of the stone. It followed the path of least resistance, a crack propagating at the speed of sound, seeking its freedom. The physics of it were a beautiful, silent poetry. The kinetic energy of the hammerstone transformed into elastic potential energy within the core. That energy, compressed beyond its limit, released in a controlled fracture. It was a principle as old as the mountains, as fundamental as gravity, and she wielded it with an artist's touch. The crack curved gracefully, following the gentle convexity of the stone's surface, a ripple spreading from the point of impact. And then, the flake fell. It detached from the core with a soft click, a final sigh of separation. It spun through the air for a moment, a sliver of dark glass catching the sunlight, before landing softly on the leather spread below. It lay there, perfect, a conchoidal fracture, smooth and curved like the inside of a seashell. Its edges were impossibly sharp, a line of pure potential that could slice through hide or sinew with effortless grace. It was a beautiful, dangerous thing, a testament to skill, knowledge, and the deep, silent connection between the hand and the mind. The child gasped, a small, sharp intake of breath that was louder than the ring of the stone. The frustration and doubt that had clouded their face vanished, replaced by pure, unadulterated wonder. Their eyes were fixed on the flake, this miracle born of rock and intention. They reached out a small, hesitant finger, not to touch the razor-sharp edge, but to trace the smooth, rippling surface. They looked from the flake to the mother, and in that look, a universe of understanding passed between them. It was a look of revelation. The mother smiled, a slow, gentle curve of her lips. She had not just created a tool, she had passed on a legacy. She had ignited a spark in the child's mind, the spark of understanding, of creation, of possibility. This single, perfect flake was more than just a sharp piece of stone. It was a key, unlocking a door to a new world, a world where they were not just subjects of nature, but shapers of it, where they could make and build and provide. She picked up the hammerstone again, offering it to the child. Her eyes held a silent question, an invitation. The child looked at the heavy stone, then at the perfect flake, and finally, back at their mother's encouraging face. A new determination settled in their small features. They took the hammer. Its weight felt different now. It was no longer a clumsy, uncooperated rock. It was a tool, an instrument of will. The child picked up a new coarse stone, feeling its texture, its weight, its potential. They remembered the mother's movements, the angle, the focus. They took a breath. Just as she had, they lifted the hammerstone. The arc was less graceful, the control less certain, but the intention was there, clear and bright. This was the first step on a long journey, a path paved with countless stones, both broken and perfected. This was how a species learned. This was how a future was built, not with a single, grand revelation, but with the patient transfer of knowledge, one strike at a time, from one generation to the next. And in the quiet of the afternoon, under the watchful eye of the sun, a new story began to be written in stone. Have you ever wondered how our ancient ancestors taught their children to survive? It wasn't with books or classrooms, but with hands-on lessons passed down through generations. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fundamental skills: how to make a stone tool. Imagine a scene thousands of years ago. A mother sits with her child, the forest floor their classroom. The lesson begins not with words, but with a simple, heavy object. The hammerstone. She places the child's small hands around it, guiding them. Feel this weight. This is quartzite. It's tough, resilient, perfect for striking. See the texture? This other one is granite, even heavier, good for rough shaping. And this one, lighter and softer, is an antler billet. We use this for the delicate finishing touches. Each material has a purpose, a personality. The child learns to feel the difference, to understand the tools, not just with their mind, but with their hands. The grip is everything. The mother shows the child how to hold the hammerstone firmly but not too tightly. You don't want to tire your hand out, but you can't let it slip. Your fingers curl around the stone, your thumb providing stability. It should feel like an extension of your arm, a part of you. The weight should be centered, balanced. It's a dance of strength and finesse. Try it. Pick up a rounded stone. Feel how different grips change the balance, how it feels in your palm. This connection to the tool is the first step toward mastery. Now, let's talk about the core. This is the piece of flint or chert that will become our tool. We don't just hit it anywhere. We have to find the right spot, the right angle. The mother points to a specific edge on the core stone. See this ridge? This is our platform. This is where we'll strike. The angle of the strike is critical. Too steep, and the flake will be short and thick. Useless. Too shallow, and the hammerstone will just glance off. We're looking for that perfect in-between angle, usually around 70 to 75 degrees. She demonstrates a slow, deliberate motion. Watch the arc of my arm. It's not about brute force. It's about precision. The movement comes from the elbow and wrist, not the shoulder. A quick, controlled snap. The sound is sharp, a clean crack, not a dull thud. A perfect flake detaches from the core, razor sharp along its edge. This is what we want. This flake could be a small knife, a scraper, or the beginning of a larger tool like a hand axe. The child watches eyes wide, absorbing every detail. Then, it's the child's turn. The mother places a larger, more forgiving coarse stone in front of him. The first attempts are clumsy. The hammerstone misses, or the angle is wrong. But with each attempt, there's learning. The mother doesn't scold. She gently adjusts the child's hand, repositions the core, and encourages them to try again. Feel the stone. Listen to the sound. Let the tool do the work. This is learning by doing, the most powerful way to learn. Safety was paramount. These weren't toys. They were instruments of survival. An ancient parent would teach an almost sacred respect for sharp edges. You always work away from your body. You make sure your legs are out of the way. You never, ever play with the sharp flakes. A deep cut in the wild could be a death sentence. So, the lesson of control was also a lesson in safety. A sharp tool demands your full attention, your respect. It's a partnership. You care for the tool, and the tool cares for you. These processes repeated over and over built more than just tools. It built patience, focus, and a deep understanding of the natural world. It was a transfer of knowledge that connected generations. The child wasn't just learning to make a tool. They were learning to see the world differently. To see a simple rock not as a rock, but as a source of potential, a knife, an arrowhead, a scraper. They were learning the language of stone. Let's break down the physics for a moment. What's happening is called conchoidal fracture. When you strike the core at the right angle and speed, you're sending a shock wave through the stone. This wave travels in a cone shape, like the ripples in a pond, but inside the rock. The flake that breaks off has a distinctive set of features. A bulb of percussion where the hammerstone hit, and ripples on the surface that show how the force traveled. Ancient toolmakers were intuitive physicists, understanding these principles through feel and observation. They didn't just strike randomly. They prepared the core stone meticulously. They would create a flat surface, the striking platform, to ensure a clean strike. They would sometimes even abrade the edge with a rough stone to make it stronger, preventing it from crushing under impact. This is platform preparation, a sign of an advanced toolmaker. It shows planning, foresight, and a deep knowledge of the material. Every step was deliberate. Think about the focus required in a world full of distractions. Imagine sitting for hours, just you and the stone. The rhythmic crack of the hammerstone, the smell of freshly broken flint, the intense concentration. It's a meditative act. You become completely present, your mind and body working in perfect harmony. It's a flow state that our ancestors knew intimately. They weren't just surviving. They were creating, innovating, and expressing their ingenuity. This single skill, the ability to hold a hammerstone and shape another stone, was the foundation of human technology for millions of years. It allowed our ancestors to butcher animals, process plants, make clothine, and defend themselves. It was the key that unlocked new environments and new possibilities. It's what allowed us to spread across the globe. All of it started right here, with this simple lesson: how to hold a hammer. So the next time you pick up a smooth, heavy stone by a river, take a moment, feel its weight, its balance. Imagine the stories it could tell, the potential held within it. You're holding a piece of our shared human history, a direct link to those first teachers and their young students, learning the skills that would ultimately shape the world. It's a powerful legacy, written not in books, but in stone. Thanks for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this fascinating, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into our ancient past. See you next time. Ever wondered what it was like for a child, tens of thousands of years ago, to learn a skill that would mean survival for their family? Let's travel back in time. Imagine this. A small child, maybe 5 or 6 years old, sits cross-legged on the dusty earth. The air is filled with the sounds of the camp, distant chatter, the crackle of a fire, the hum of insects. In their small hands, they hold 2 stones. One is a core of flint, dark and smooth. The other is a hammerstone, rounded and heavy for its size. Their mother sits beside them, her presence a warm, reassuring comfort. She's been doing this for years. Her hands, calloused and skilled, are a testament to countless hours spent shaping stone into tools. She watches her child, her eyes filled with patience and love. Today is a big day. Today, the child will make their first tool. Or at least, they will try. The child looks at the flint core, then at their mother, a mix of excitement and nervousness in their eyes. She gives a small, encouraging nod. Go on, her expression seems to say. You can do it. Taking a deep breath, the child lifts the hammerstone. It feels clumsy in their small hand. They swing, aiming for the edge of the flint core just as their mother showed them. Thud. The hammerstone strikes the flint, but nothing happens. The core remains unchanged. The child frowns, a flicker of disappointment crossing their face. They try again. Thud. Still nothing. The force isn't right. The angle is off. Frustration begins to bubble up. It looked so easy when their mother did it. A perfect flake would just leap from the stone with a sharp crack. The mother leans in, her voice soft and gentle. She doesn't scold or criticize. Instead, she points to a specific spot on the core's edge. She mimes the motion, a graceful, controlled arc. She reminds them to strike with confidence. to follow through with a swing. She speaks of the stone's spirit, how you have to listen to it, feel where it wants to break. Her words are like a soothing balm, washing away the child's frustration and replacing it with renewed determination. She might even place her hand over theirs, guiding the first few motions, letting them feel the correct angle and momentum. Feeling her support, the child tries again. They adjust their grip, focus on the spot their mother indicated, and swing. Thud. A tiny chip, barely the size of a fingernail, breaks away. It's not a usable flake, but it's something. The child's eyes widen. A small smile plays on their lips. They did it. They changed the stone. Encourage. They strike again, this time with a little more force, a little more precision. Crack. This time, the sound is different, sharper. A thin, sharp-edged piece of flint, about the size of their thumb, pops off the core and lands in the dust. A perfect little flake. It might be small, but it's complete. It has a sharp edge, a bulb of percussion, all the features of a proper flake. The child gasps. They drop the hammerstone and snatch up the little flake, holding it up to the light. It glints, its edge dangerously sharp. A huge, brilliant smile spreads across their face, a beam of pure, unadulterated pride. They look at their mother, their eyes shining. She smiles back, her heart swelling with a matching pride. It's a huge milestone. This small flake is the first step on a long journey to becoming a provider, a valued member of the clan. This little scene isn't just a fantasy. It's a story that archaeologists can piece together from the clues left behind in the dirt. When excavating ancient campsites, places where our ancestors lived tens or even hundreds of thousands of years ago, they find more than just the beautifully crafted tools of experts. They find the mistakes. They find clusters of tiny, poorly struck flakes, often made from lower quality material. They find cores that have been battered and bruised, struck from all the wrong angles. These are what archaeologists call beginner's flakes. They are the telltale signs of learning. You can almost see the scene playing out. A master flint knapper, perhaps a parent or an elder, sitting patiently, surrounded by a group of children, all trying their best to imitate the expert. You can imagine the fumbled attempts, the failed strikes, and the occasional successful flake that was met with cheers and encouragement. These clusters of mistakes are evidence of classrooms, ancient schools where essential knowledge was passed from one generation to the next. These beginner's flakes tell us that flint knapping wasn't an innate talent. It was a learned skill, requiring years of practice and dedicated teaching. It shows us the importance of community, of patience, and of nurturing the next generation. That small flake, held in a child's triumphant hand, wasn't just a piece of stone. It was a link in a chain of knowledge stretching back through millennia. It was a symbol of continuity, of culture, and of the enduring human spirit to learn, to create, and to overcome challenges. So next time you see an ancient stone tool in a museum, remember it's not just an object. It's the end result of a long process. A process that started with a child, a hammerstone, and a patient teacher, all sitting together under an ancient sky. That first successful strike was more than just breaking a rock. It was a spark of innovation being passed on, ensuring the survival and success of our species. It's a powerful reminder that every expert was once a beginner, and every great achievement starts with a single, small attempt. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from our deep past. Hey everyone, welcome back to our journey through human history. Today, we're diving into Chapter 10, where we'll explore the creation of one of the most fundamental and versatile tools of the Stone Age, the scraper. Imagine a mother and her child sitting together. The world around them is full of resources, but they need the right tools to unlock them. The mother picks up a piece of flint, its sharp edges glinting in the light. She tells her child, "With this, we can shape our world. This simple piece of stone is the key to so much. It can cut tough plant stems for food and weaving, scrape animal hides clean to make warm clothing and shelter, and even help in crafting rope from plant fibers. The scraper isn't just a tool, it's a ticket to survival and comfort." Now, let's join him as the mother guides her child's hands. The process of making a stone tool is called knapping. It's a skill passed down through countless generations. She shows the child how to hold a core stone and strike it with another stone, called a hammerstone. The goal is to break off a sharp-edged flake. It takes practice. The first few attempts might just produce useless bits of shattered rock, but the mother is patient. She adjusts the child's grip, shows them the right angle to strike, and explains how to feel for the natural lines of force within the stone. Slowly, with her guidance, the child manages to strike off a usable flake. It's not perfect, but it's a start. This single flake, with one sharp edge, is the beginning of a scraper. The pride in the child's eyes is immense. They've just created something that can change their life. This moment isn't just about making a tool. It's about learning, problem solving, and the deep connection of passing knowledge from one generation to the next. It's the very essence of human culture beginning to blossom. The mother then shows the child how to refine the tool. This is called retouching, using a smaller, more precise tool, maybe a piece of antler or bone. She carefully chips away at the edge of the flake. This process does two things. It makes the edge stronger and less likely to break, and it shapes the tool for specific tasks. A straight, sharp edge is great for slicing, while a rounded, more robust edge is better for scraping hides without tearing them. The child watches, fascinated, as the crude flake is transformed into a more specialized instrument. The mother explains that different shapes have different jobs. Some scrapers are small and delicate for fine work, while others are large and heavy for tough tasks. The child tries their hand at retouching, carefully pressing against the edge, flaking off tiny pieces. They're learning not just the how, but the why. They're developing an intuitive understanding of physics, materials, science, and engineering, all through this hands-on lesson. It's an incredible educational moment, happening hundreds of thousands of years ago. Now, what's amazing is that archaeologists have found millions of these scrapers all over the world. They're one of the most common artifacts from the Stone Age. And just like the mother taught her child, these ancient tools come in many shapes and sizes, telling us a story about the lives of the people who made and used them. Let's talk about some of the main types that archaeologists have identified. One of the most common is the unscraper. Imagine a flake that's been shaped to have its main working edge at the narrow end. These are thought to have been perfect for scraping hides. The user could hold the thick part of the flake and push the sharp end forward, efficiently cleaning fat and tissue from a skin. They're often found in large numbers at sites where animals were butchered, giving us a clear picture of an ancient production line for leather and fur. Tentereare, side scrapers. As the name suggests, the working edge is along the longer side of the flake. These were incredibly versatile. They could be used for shaping wood or bone, stripping bark from branches, or even processing tough plant materials. Because the working edge is longer, they could make long, smooth cuts. Some side scrapers are so beautifully made, with perfectly straight or gently curved edges, that they are considered works of art in their own right. They show a deep understanding of the material and a pride in craftsmanship. Making a tool wasn't just about function. It was also about creating something well-made and effective. This attention to detail tells us that our ancestors valued quality and efficiency, just as we do today. We also find more specialized types. For example, nosed or beaked scrapers have a small, pointed projection. What would you use that for? Well, archaeologists believe these were used for more detailed work, like grooving or engraving bone and wood. Imagine carving a design onto a spear thrower or boring a hole in a piece of shell to make a bead. These little tools allowed for a new level of artistry and precision. Tintere hare halo, or notched scrapers, which have a concave, curved edge. These are perfectly shaped for scraping and smoothing rounded objects, like spear shafts or wooden poles. By running a branch through that notch, you could quickly strip the bark and smooth the surface, making a more aerodynamic and effective spear. Each tool was a solution to a specific problem. The sheer variety of these scrapers shows us the ingenuity and adaptability of early humans. They weren't just making one all-purpose tool. They were observing their environment, identifying challenges, and then designing and creating specific tools to meet those challenges. This is the hallmark of human intelligence. The materials they used also tell a story. They would often travel long distances to find the best quality, flint or chert, stone that would flake predictably and hold a sharp edge. This implies planning, knowledge of their territory, and maybe even trade networks with other groups. The stone scraper, in all its forms, is not just a simple tool. It's a window into the minds and societies of our ancient ancestors. It represents a huge leap in cognitive ability, the power to think ahead, to plan, and to shape the world according to a mental template. Let's go back to our mother and child. The lesson is over for the day. The child holds their newly made scraper. It's not as elegant as their mother's, but it's functional. They take it to a nearby plant and, with a bit of effort, slice through the stem. A huge smile spreads across their face. They did it. They created something with their own hands that has real power. This experience builds confidence and a sense of belonging. They are now a contributing member of their group, armed with knowledge that will help them and their family survive and thrive. This is how culture is transmitted. It's not just about words. It's about shared experiences, hands-on learning, and the patient transfer of skills that have been honed over millennia. From the simple end scraper for hides to the notched scraper for spears, this humble tool laid the groundwork for all future technology. It taught us to be engineers, artists, and innovators. So, the next time you see a picture of a simple-looking stone flake in a museum, remember the story behind it. Think of the hands that shaped it, the mind that designed it, and the countless generations that passed down the knowledge to create it. It's a testament to human resilience and our unending quest to improve our lives. It's a piece of our shared story, a chapter written in stone. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of the stone scraper. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next chapter. See you next time. Welcome, Bike. In this chapter, we'll explore the delicate art of pressure flaking. While percussion flaking shapes the initial form of our stone tool, it's pressure flaking that brings it to life, creating the fine, sharp, and functional edges that defined human ingenuity for millennia. The process is one of quiet concentration, a conversation between the napper and the stone. It's a technique that requires patience and a gentle touch, rather than brute force. Imagine holding a nearly finished arrowhead or blade. Its general shape is there, but the edges are still thick and irregular. To refine team, we use a tool called a pressure flaker, often made from the tine of a deer or elk antler. The antler's material is perfect for this task. It's softer than the stone, which prevents it from shattering the workpiece, but it's hard enough to bite into the edge and apply focused force. Let's begin. First, I need to prepare the edge of our stone. You'll notice it has high spots and ridges left over from the percussion work. A pressure flake won't travel far if the platform isn't prepared correctly. So, I'll take a small, coarse stone, like a piece of sandstone, and gently abrade the edge. This grinding action strengthens the platform where I intend to apply pressure. It removes any tiny, weak overhangs that might crumble, ensuring the force I apply is directed precisely where I want it to go. Think of it like preparing a canvas before painting. A smooth, strong surface allows for a predictable and beautiful result. Now, I'll position the stone. For safety and control, it's crucial to hold it securely. I'm placing a piece of thick leather in the palm of my hand. This protects me from the sharp edges and also provides a firm, non-slip grip. I'll press the stone firmly into the leather, with the edge I want to work on positioned just over my index finger. My thumb is on top, providing counter-pressure. This setup gives me maximum control and leverage. Here is my antler tine. See its pointed tip? I've shaped it to a dull point, not a sharp one. A tip that's too sharp will simply crush the edge. A slightly blunted, strong tip is what we need. I'll place the tip of the tine directly on the prepared platform on the stone edge. I'm not pushing straight down. That would just crush the platform. Instead, the angle is key. I'm applying pressure both inward, toward the center of the stone, and downward, toward the base. Watch closely. I'm slowly increasing the force. My whole body is engaged, but the movement is subtle. My shoulders, my core, my legs are there. Well, part of this, it's a steady, building pressure. I can feel the tension growing, the stone resisting. I hold it right at that critical point, and then, with a final push, pop. A small, thin flake detaches from the underside. It makes a quiet, satisfying sound, like a tiny crackle. Let's look at the result. A beautiful, ribbon-like flake has been removed, leaving behind a smooth, concave scar. This scar is called a flaking scar. By repeating this process over and over, one flake next to the other, we can create a continuous, razor-sharp edge. Each flake I remove helps to thin the cross-section of the point and create a serrated or straight edge, depending on the desired function. Let's do another one. I find the next high spot along the edge. I prepare it with my brader stone, just a few gentle rubs. I reposition the stone in my leather-padded hand. I place the antler tine on the platform, find that perfect angle inward and downward. I build the pressure, slowly, steadily, and pop. Another flake comes off. You can see a pattern emerging. The scars from the flakes I'm removing are running parallel to each other, creating a beautiful, rippled texture on the surface of the stone. This is often called a flute or a channel flake in some contexts, and it's a hallmark of skilled craftsmanship. This technique is ancient. Let's travel back in time. The master flint knappers of the Clovis culture, who lived in North America around 13,000 years ago, used pressure flaking to create the iconic flutes on their spear points. These long, channel flakes removed from the base likely helped them haft the points onto their spears. Imagine the skill required to remove a single, large flake that traveled nearly the entire length of the point without breaking it. Now, let's cross the Atlantic and go back even further, to the Solutrean culture in Ice Age Europe, around 20,000 years ago. The Solutreans created incredibly thin and delicate laurel leaf points, some so fine they seem almost translucent. These were not just tools. They were works of art, and their perfection was achieved through meticulous pressure flaking. They likely heated the stone first, a process called heat treatment, which makes the material more glassy and easier to flake with precision. The pressure flakes they removed were incredibly long and regular, a testament to their profound understanding of the stone. Even later, in Neolithic Europe, pressure flaking was used to create exquisite daggers and arrowheads. Think of the famous flint daggers from Denmark. Their handles and blades were flaked with such precision that they almost mimicked the appearance of cast metal. The surfaces are covered in perfectly parallel ripple-like flake scars, a level of skill that is difficult to replicate even today. It shows a dedication to aesthetics as much as to function. Back to our workpiece. I'm going to flip the stone over now and work on the other side. The goal is to create a symmetrical, lenticular cross-section. This means it should be lens-shaped, if you were to cut it in half, thinning from the center to the sharp edges. This shape is both strong and aerodynamic. I'll continue the process, placing my flakes in the gaps between the flake scars on the opposite face. This is called alternate flaking, and it allows for very controlled thinning and shaping. Notice how I'm checking my progress constantly. I'm looking at the edge, feeling its sharpness, observing the overall symmetry. Flint knapping is a constant feedback loop. The stone tells you what it needs, where the next flake should be placed. If I encounter a problem, like a step fracture, where the flake terminates abruptly, I have to adjust my strategy. Maybe I need to change my angle, or prepare the platform more thoroughly. It's a puzzle that unfolds with each flake removed. As I work my way around the edge, the tool is transformed. What was once a rough biface is now becoming a delicate, functional point. The edges are becoming incredibly sharp, capable of slicing through hide or flesh with ease. The pattern of the flake scars tells a story of intention, of skill, of a deep connection with the material. Let's try a slightly different technique now. Instead of just removing small flakes to sharpen the edge, I can use pressure to create niches. These notches are important for hefting the point to a shaft. I'll use a smaller, more pointed antler tip for this. I find the spot where I want the notch to be. Near the basi, I place the tip and apply pressure, but this time, I make a small, crunching motion. I'm essentially crushing a small indentation into the edge. Then, I can use that indentation as a platform to remove tiny flakes, deepening the notch bit by bit. It's delicate work, as it's easy to snap the base of the point if too much force is used. One notch on each side, and now we have a way to securely tie our point onto an arrow or a spear. The final touches involve making sure the tip is perfectly sharp and strong. I'll remove a few final, tiny flakes right at the very tip, ensuring it's perfectly centered and needle sharp. Our arrowhead is now complete. Running a finger very carefully along the edge, you can feel the uniformity, the sharpness, the product of hundreds of small, controlled movements. This whole process, from a rough stone to a finished point, is a journey. Pressure flaking is the final, most intimate chapter of that journey. It's where the tool gains its final personality and purpose. It is a cleared meditative practice that connects us to our ancestors across vast stretches of time. From the Solutrean laurel leaves to the Clovis points, this simple technique, pressure from an antler tine on a piece of stone, was one of the most important skills for human survival and expression. Thank you for joining me in this demonstration. I hope this calm exploration of pressure flaking has been insightful and relaxing. Feel free to rewatch and listen as you unwind. Follow along for more chapters in our journey into ancient skills. Sleep well. Purna. Listen. Close your eyes and just listen. Can you hear it? The world is full of sounds, a constant symphony of rustling leaves, distant bird calls, and the gentle sigh of the wind. But long ago, for our ancestors, one sound was more important than almost any other. It was the sound of creation, the sound of survival. It was the sound of stone. Imagine a time before steel, before bronze, even before the first clay pot was fired, a time when everything depended on what you could shape from the earth itself. Here, a mother sits with her child, not with a book or a toy, but with two stones in her hands. One is a core, a large, promising piece of flint or obsidian. The other is a hammerstone, smooth and heavy. A tool to make a tool. The child watches, eyes wide with a mixture of curiosity and reverence. The mother doesn't speak with words. Her lesson is not one of language, but of feeling, of listening with the whole body. She holds the core stone in her palm, feeling its weight, its balance, its hidden potential. She turns it over and over, her fingers tracing the subtle ridges and planes. She's not just looking at it, she's reading it. She's searching for the story held within the stone, a story of fracture lines and internal tensions, a story that will tell her where to strike. She taps the cord gently with the hammerstone. Talk. A dull, heavy sound. It's a sound of refusal. The stone is saying, not here. This spot is too thick, too solid. Strike here, and I will only bruise or shatter into useless pieces. The child listens, head tilted. The mother taps again, a little further down. Tuck. Another dead note. She continues her gentle exploration, a patient percussionist mapping out the instrument before her. Each tap is a question asked of the stone. Then she finds it. She taps a specific edge, and the sound changes. It's not a dull thud anymore. It's a clear, sharp, ringing note. Ting! It's a sound full of promise, a sound that vibrates through her hand and up her arm. This is the sound of a perfect edge, a platform ready to release its treasure. The stone is saying, yes. Here. Strike here, with purpose, and I will give you a blade, sharp and true. The child's eyes light up, recognizing the change in tone. It's a musical moment, a shift from a dull rhythm to a bright melody. The mother nods, a silent confirmation. Now, the real lesson begins. She positions the core stone carefully on her leather-padded leg, tilting it to the precise angle. She raises the hammerstone, not high, but with focused intent. Her movement is fluid, practiced, a dance of muscle and memory passed down through countless generations. Then, the strike. It's not a brute force smash, but a controlled, glancing blow. Crack. The sound is sharp, decisive, like a whip cracking the air. And with that sound, a long, thin flake of stone detaches from the core. It falls onto the leather below, a perfect blade, its edge sharper than any modern razor. It's a sliver of volcanic glass, born from a partnership between human and stone, guided entirely by sound. The mother picks up the flake, careful of its edge. She holds it up to the light, a dark, gleaming crescent. She hands the hammerstone to the child. Now, it is their turn to listen. The child, hesitant at first, picks up the core. It feels heavy, alien. They mimic the mother, tapping the surface. Talk, talk, dull, lifeless sounds. The child frowns, frustrated. The mother gently places her hand over the child's, guiding the hammer. She doesn't force it, but helps the child feel the rhythm, to connect with the stone. They tap together. Talk. Talk. Ting? There it is again. That clear, high note. The child's face breaks into a smile of understanding. It's not about hitting the stone hard. It's about listening to where the stone wants to be hit. It's a conversation. This was the language of the first toolmakers, a language of percussion and resonance. They lived in a world where the ability to hear the difference between a dull thud and a sharp ring was the difference between a successful hunt and starvation, between warmth and cold. Knapping wasn't just a craft. It was a deep, meditative practice. It required immense patience and a state of total focus, where the napper and the stone became one. Every strike was a decision, every flake a consequence, a miscalculation, a moment of inattention, and the precious core could be ruined. But with focus, with a deep listening, a single piece of flint could yield dozens of tools. Spear points, knives, scrapers, and awls. An entire toolkit for survival, all unlocked by understanding the music of the stone. As the child continues to tap, guided by the mother's patient hand, they are not just learning to make a tool. They are learning a way of being. They are learning to pay attention, to be present, to listen to the subtle voices of the world around them. They are learning to find the hidden potential in things that seem inert and silent. This ancient skill reminds us that the most profound knowledge often comes not from speaking, but from listening. It's a lesson that echoes down through the ages. In our own noisy, fast-paced world, how often do we stop to truly listen? To listen to the world around us, to listen to each other, to listen to the quiet, inner voice that guides us. The sound of stone is the sound of our own deep history, a reminder of the ingenuity and resilience of our ancestors. It's a quiet music that, if we take the time to listen, can still teach us so much. So next time you pick up a smooth stone on a beach or a trail, hold it in your hand. Close your eyes, and just listen. You might be surprised by the stories it has to tell. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as I do, please like, share, and subscribe for more explorations into our shared human story. Welcome back to our journey into the world of flint knapping. Today, we're diving deep into Chapter 13, where we'll unravel the secrets behind the purpose of each edge on a stone tool. Why did our ancestors shape their tools in specific ways? It all comes down to function, and the key is in the angle and shape of the edge. Let's start with edge angles. Imagine you have a stone tool. The angle of its working edge tells you a lot about its job. Generally, we see two main types: steep angles and fine, or acute, angles. First, let's talk about steep angles. Think of an edge that's almost vertical, maybe around 70 to 90 degrees. This isn't great for slicing. If you try to cut leather with a steep edge, it will just tear and bunch up. Instead, this robust, durable edge is perfect for scraping. Tasks like scraping hides to remove fat and tissue, or shaping wood and bone, require a strong edge that won't easily chip or break under pressure. The steep angle provides that strength. Archaeologists call these tools scrapers, and they come in many forms, like end scrapers or side scrapers, all sharing that characteristic steep working edge. They were the prehistoric equivalent of a modern draw knife, or a cabinet scraper. Now, let's flip to the other side. Fine, or acute, angles. We're talking about an edge that's very sharp and thin, maybe 25 to 45 degrees. This is your cutting edge. Think of a modern razor blade or a kitchen knife. A fine angle allows the tool to slice cleanly through materials with minimal resistance. This was essential for butchering animals, cutting meat, slicing through plant fibers to make cordage, or cutting leather for clothing. A simple, unmodified flake right off the core can have an incredibly sharp, acute edge, making it a perfect disposable cutting tool. Archaeologists often find countless of these utilized flakes, which show microscopic wear patterns, confirming they were used for cutting tasks. More formal tools, like beautifully crafted bifacial knives, were also designed with these fine, sharp edges for efficient slicing. So, to recap the basics, steep angle equals scraping, Fine angle equals cutting. It's a fundamental principle that dictated how tools were made and used for millions of years. But the angle is only part of the story. The shape of the edge is just as important. Let's explore two common shapes, convex and concave. A convex edge is one that curves outwards, like the side of a circle. Think of a classic teardrop-shaped hand axe. Its long, curving edges are convex. This shape is incredibly versatile. It concentrates force at the point of contact, making it effective for a wide range of tasks, from chopping wood to heavy-duty butchering. The curve also helps maintain a continuous cutting motion. As you slice, a new section of the sharp edge is constantly being engaged with the material. This makes convex edges really efficient for long, sweeping cuts. You see this shape on all sorts of tools, from early old Dowan choppers to later Neolithic axes. It's a timeless, all-purpose design. On the other hand, we have the concave edge. This is an edge that curves inwards, like a crescent moon. You might be thinking, what's the use of that? Well, a concave edge is a specialized tool. It's perfect for shaping rounded objects. Imagine you need to smooth a wooden spear shaft or an arrow shaft. A concave scraper, which archaeologists sometimes call a spoke shave, fits perfectly around the wood, allowing you to scrape and shape it into a uniform, cylindrical form. It acts like a custom-fit scraper for round surfaces. You also find concave edges on tools called notches, which could have been used to prepare the base of a projectile point for hafting, or for processing plant fibers by pulling them through the notch. So now let's tie this all together with some real archaeological examples. Think about the Mousterian period, associated with Neanderthals. They were masters of creating specific tools for specific jobs. A classic Mousterian toolkit includes the side scraper, or racleur. These often have a continuous, convex working edge with a steep retouch, perfect for processing hides or working wood. They also made denticulates, which are tools with a sawtoothed edge, great for shredding plant material. And they made natches, those tools with a distinct concave edge we just talked about, likely used as spoke shaves. By looking at a tool, an archaeologist can make an educated guess about its function simply by analyzing its edge. Is the edge steep or acute? Is it convex, concave, or straight? By combining this visual analysis with microscopic, use-wear analyses, which looks for polishes and striations left behind from contact with different materials, we can reconstruct the prehistoric toolkit with incredible accuracy. Every flake struck, every edge retouched, had a purpose. It was a conscious decision made by the flint knapper to create a tool that would perform a specific task efficiently. Whether it was the steep, durable edge of a scraper for preparing a hide, or the razor-sharp, fine edge of a flake for butchering a deer, the form of the tool directly followed its intended function. This is the language of stone tools, and by learning to read the edges, we get a little closer to understanding the minds and daily lives of our ancient ancestors. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive into the purpose of stone tool edges. I hope this gives you a new appreciation for the ingenuity and skill of ancient flint knappers. If you enjoyed this, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to explore next. See you in the next video. Have you ever really thought about a tool, not just as an object, but as a story of ingenuity, survival, and deep, profound respect? Today, let us explore how ancient cultures taught their children a lesson many of us have forgotten: the true value of our tools. Imagine a mother, perhaps in the frozen landscapes of the Arctic, sitting with her child. She holds up an ulu, a crescent-shaped knife. She doesn't just show the child how to cut with it. She explains that this tool is a lifeline. She shares the story of the caribou antler that forms its handle, the journey taken to find the right piece of slate for the blade, and the hours of patient grinding needed to give it a perfect edge. She teaches that this isn't just a knife. It's food, it's clothing, it's warmth. It's the accumulated wisdom of generations, held right there in your hand. This isn't just a quaint story. It's a fundamental principle of survival seen across the globe. For Inuit communities, tools were extensions of their very being. A harpoon wasn't just a spear. It was a connection to the sea and the animals that provided for them. Losing a harpoon wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a catastrophe. It meant the loss of precious, hard-to-get materials like driftwood or metal, and the loss of countless hours of labor. So, Children learn from a young age. You care for your tools as you care for your family. You know where every piece is. You mend it when it's broken. You protect it from the elements. This respect wasn't born from sentimentality, but from a harsh reality. Your tools were your partners in the dance of life. Now, let's travel from the ice to the sun-scorched earth of Australia. An Aboriginal elder is teaching a young boy how to craft a spear. He shows him how to select the right acacia wood, how to straighten it carefully over a small fire, how to bind a sharpened stone, point to the tip with sinew and resin. But the lesson goes deeper. He teaches the boy the songs and stories associated with the spear, connecting the physical object to the spiritual landscape. The dreaming. The spear isn't just for hunting kangaroo. It's a repository of knowledge. The resin used to bind it comes from a specific tree, which only grows in certain places, and the knowledge of how to find and prepare that resin is passed down through generations. The stone for the tip might come from a quarry hundreds of miles away, obtained through ancient trade networks and relationships with other clans. So when the boy holds that spear, he's holding a map of his country, a testament to his social connections, and a library of ecological knowledge. Disrespecting that spear would be like tearing a page out of a sacred book. He learns to carry it properly, to store it safely, and to repair it with the same care with which it was made. Every scratch and repair adds to its story, a biography written in wood and stone. This deep respect for tools wasn't limited to hunter-gatherer societies. Let's journey back in time to Stone Age Europe. Archaeologists find caches of exquisitely crafted flint axe heads, many of them unused and buried together. Why? These weren't just tools. They were symbols of wealth, power, and social connection. The flint might have been mined from deep, dangerous underground shafts, a testament to incredible community effort and bravery. The skill to knap that flint into a symmetrical, polished axe head was the result of a long apprenticeship, a skill as refined as any art form today. A mother in a Neolithic village would teach her child about the feel of different stones, the sound a good piece of flint makes when struck. She'd show them how to protect the delicate cutting edge. A broken tool wasn't just thrown away. It was often reworked into something smaller, a scraper or an arrowhead. Nothing was wasted because every sliver of material represented an immense investment of time, energy, and knowledge. They understood that the world's resources were finite, and every object they created held a piece of that precious world within it. This act of reworking, of giving a broken object a new life, is a powerful lesson in itself. It teaches resilience, creativity, and a sustainable mindset. So what can we learn from these ancient mothers and elders? In our modern world of disposable everything, we've become disconnected from the story of our things. We click a button, and a tool arrives in a box. We rarely think about the mines where the metal was extracted, the factories where it was assembled, or the human hands that guided its creation. We've lost the narrative. When we use a tool, break it, and simply buy another, we are discarding the energy, the resources, and the human ingenuity it represents. We're teaching our own children that things have no intrinsic value beyond their immediate function. But what if we tried to bring back that ancient respect? What if, the next time you hold a hammer or a kitchen knife, you take a moment to truly appreciate it? Think about the journey its materials took to get to you. We can start by teaching our children to care for their belongings. Not just by tidying up, but by explaining why. Show them how to clean their tools, how to oil a hinge, how to sharpen a blade, how to mend a tear. When something breaks, let the first impulse be, how can we fix this? Instead of, where can we buy a new one? This simple shift in mindset reintroduces the idea that objects have a life, a story, and that we are the custodians of that story. By repairing a wobbly chair with our kids, or sharpening garden shears together, we are not just performing a chore. We are passing on an ancient and vital piece of wisdom. We are teaching self-reliance, problem-solving, and a deep, tangible respect for the physical world. We are showing them that they are not just passive consumers, but active participants in the life of their things. This respect for tools is ultimately about respect for something larger. Respect for resources, for skill, for human history, and for the planet itself. The Inuit mother, the Aboriginal elder, the Neolithic artisan, they all knew this. They knew that a tool is never just a thing. It's a relationship. And by teaching our children to honor that relationship, we give them one of the most valuable tools of all, a sustainable and appreciative way of living in the world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If this idea of finding stories in everyday objects resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the wisdom of the past. What's a tool you have a special story about? Share it in the comments below. See you next time. The flickering firelight danced across the stone, casting long, wavering shadows on the cave wall. In my small hands, the piece of flint felt both alien and familiar. For days, I'd watched my mother, her movements fluid and sure as she struck flint against stone, shaping tools that brought us food and kept us warm. Now, it was my turn. My own piece of flint was stubborn, refusing to yield to my clumsy strikes. My knuckles were raw, my fingers ached, and frustration was a hot knot in my stomach. I wanted to throw the useless rock into the darkness and hide my face in my mother's furs. But then I would look at her. She sat nearby, mending a hide with a bone needle, her face calm and patient in the soft glow. She never pushed, never scolded. She just was. Her presence was a silent encouragement, a steady warmth that seeped into my cold fingers and gave me the strength to try again. I remembered her words from that morning, her voice like the gentle flow of the nearby stream. Patience, little one. The stone has its own spirit. You must listen to it, not fight it. Listen to it. How do you listen to a rock? I closed my eyes, trying to shut out the sting of failure. I held the flint, feeling its weight, its sharp, unforgiving edges. I pictured the scraper in my mind, the one I had seen my mother use 1,000 times to clean the hides. It had a smooth, curved edge for scraping and a thicker, blunt side to grip. My rock was just a lump. I picked up my hammerstone, another smooth, heavy river rock. I took a deep breath, trying to mimic the calm I saw in my mother. I didn't strike wildly this time. I tapped. A small flake fell away. It was tiny, insignificant, but it was something. A little thrill, like the flutter of a bird's wings, went through me. I tapped again, a little harder this time, aiming for a ridge I hadn't noticed before. A larger flake broke free, landing with a soft clink on the cave floor. Slowly, methodically, I worked. Tap, chip, tap, chip. The rhythm became a kind of song, a conversation between me, the hammerstone, and the flint. My frustration began to melt away, replaced by an intense focus. The world outside our small circle of firelight ceased to exist. There was only the stone in my hand and the image of the tool in my mind. Flakes of flint, sharp as ice shards, littered the ground around my feet. A small cut opened on my thumb, but I barely felt it. The shape began to emerge. It was not as elegant as my mother's tools. The curve was a bit lumpy, the edge not perfectly uniform. It was thick and a little awkward. But it was there. I could see it. The blunt end fit, just about, into the palm of my hand. The other end had an edge, a real, workable edge. I ran my thumb over it carefully this time. It was sharp. I had been so engrossed in my work that I hadn't noticed my mother had stopped her mending. She was watching me, her eyes soft and full of a light I couldn't quite name. I held up my creation, my heart thumping a nervous rhythm against my ribs. It felt so heavy and important in my hand. Was it good enough? Would she think it was just a broken rock? I held it out to her, my small hand trembling slightly. I think it's finished. She put down her needle and hide and took the scraper from me. Her calloused fingers, so much stronger and more knowing than mine, turned it over and over. She examined the edge, tested the grip. The silence stretched, and every beat of my heart was a drum of anticipation. I braced myself for a kind but corrective word, a suggestion on how to make it better, a polite dismissal of my childish attempt. Instead, she smiled. It wasn't a big smile, but it lit up her entire face, reaching her eyes and making them shine like the morning star. "It is," she said, her voice filled with a gentle warmth that wrapped around me like the softest rabbit fur. "It has a good edge. It will scrape well." She looked from the tool to me, and her smile deep. "You listened to the stone." "Right. It was a feeling I had never known before, and it swelled inside my chest, so big and powerful it almost hurt. It was warmer than the fire, brighter than the sun on a clear day. It wasn't just that I had made a thing, it was that she saw it. She understood the effort, the frustration, the tiny victory. She saw me. She handed the scraper back to me, her fingers brushing mine. "This is your first tool," she said, her voice low and full of meaning. "It is a good one. You should be proud." I clutched the scraper to my chest. It was clumsy. It was imperfect. It was mine, and in my mother's eyes, it was a masterpiece. In that moment, sitting in the flickering firelight of our cave, holding my lopsided piece of flint, I felt a connection to her, to my ancestors, to the long line of hands that had shaped stone to survive. I was no longer just a child, watching from the sidelines. I was a maker. That night, I slept with the scraper tucked safely beside me. Its sharp edge was a promise of the future. The warmth of my mother's praise was a shield against any fear or doubt. I knew I had a long way to go, many more stones to shape, many more skills to learn, but I had taken the first step, and I had not taken it alone. The memory of a smile, the feeling of a quiet pride, would be the sharpest and most valuable tool I would ever possess. It was the tool that would shape me. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more chapters from our ancient past. Have you ever watched a child learn a new skill from their parent or grandparent? Maybe it's baking cookies, tying a shoelace, or even learning to ride a bike. There's a special kind of magic in those moments, a quiet connection that stretches back through time. It's more than just a lesson. It's a legacy being passed down, a living thread that connects one generation to the next. This isn't just a sentimental idea. It's the very foundation of how humanity has learned, grown, and innovated for thousands upon thousands of years. Think about it. Long before we had textbooks, instruction manuals, or online tutorials, how did we learn to do anything? How did our ancestors figure out how to make tools, build shelters, or find food? It all happened through observation, imitation, and most importantly, through spoken word. A mother would show her daughter which plants were safe to eat. A father would teach his son how to knap flint into a sharp edge. This was education in its purest form, a direct transfer of vital knowledge, person to person, generation to generation. This process is what we call oral tradition. It's the passing of skills, stories, and cultural knowledge through speech and demonstration. It's the original information, and when we look into our deep past, we can see the echoes of this tradition everywhere, etched into the very artifacts that archaeologists unearth. Let's travel back in time, say, 30,000 years ago, to the Upper Paleolithic period. Imagine a community living in a rock shelter, the fire crackling as a skilled artisan carefully carves a small figurine from a piece of mammoth ivory. A younger person sits nearby, watching every move, absorbing the technique, the angle of the tool, the pressure applied, the way the carver turns the ivory to follow its natural grainities, are all subtle details that couldn't be written down. They must be shown, they must be explained, they must be learned by doing. Archaeologists see the result of this process when they excavate sites from this period. They find Venus figurines, for example, across a vast geographical area, from France to Siberia. While each one is unique, they share a distinct stylistic language, the exaggerated features, the specific postures. This isn't a coincidence. It's the signature of a shared cultural idea, a specific artistic tradition that was passed down orally and visually for millennia. Someone didn't just independently invent the same style of figurine hundreds of miles away. They learned it from someone else, who learned it from someone else, in a continuous chain of knowledge. The same pattern appears in toolmaking. Consider the solutrion, laurel leaf blades from prehistoric Europe. These are incredibly thin, beautifully crafted spear points made from flint. Making one required a level of skill that is astonishing even today. It involved a complex, multi-stage process of heating the stone and using precise pressure flaking techniques. This wasn't something you could just figure out by accident. It was a mastercraft, a technological secret that was carefully guarded and taught only to the next generation of trusted artisans. The consistency of these blades across different sites is a testament to a highly standardized, orally transmitted curriculum. It's like finding the same model of smartphone from different factories, but created 20,000 years ago. Let's move forward in time to the Neolithic Revolution, when humans began to settle down and farm. This was arguably one of the biggest shifts in human history, and it was entirely powered by oral knowledge. How do you know when to plant your seeds? How do you recognize the signs of a changing season without a calendar? You learn from your elders. They passed down generations of accumulated wisdom about the local climate, the soil, and the behavior of plants. And what about pottery? Making a functional pot is not easy. You need to know how to find the right kind of clay, how to process it to remove impurities, how to shape it so it won't crack, and how to fire it at the right temperature so it becomes hard and waterproof. At archaeological sites, we often find pottery styles that persist in a single region for hundreds, sometimes thousands of years. The shapes, the decorations, the specific way the handles are attached. These are cultural fingerprints. A daughter learned to make pots by her mother's side, using the same techniques, the same patterns that her mother learned from her grandmother. It's a continuous conversation spoken through clay. When a new style or technology appears, like a different way of glazing the pot, archaeologists can literally see the moment a new idea was introduced and spread through these networks of oral learning. This connection isn't just about practical skills. It's also about identity. The stories told around the fire, the songs sung during a harvest, the patterns woven into a piece of cloth, all of these things are part of a shared culture passed down through oral tradition. They tell people who they are, where they come from, and how they fit into the world. When an archaeologist finds a recurring symbol on pottery, tools, and cave walls, they are seeing a piece of a story that was told and retold for countless generations. These symbols were a shared language, a visual reminder of the oral traditions that bound a community together. Even the construction of monumental structures like Stonehenge or the Great Pyramids of Egypt relied heavily on this person-to-person knowledge transfer. The complex engineering, logistics, and astronomical alignments required a huge body of specialized information. While some plans might have been sketched out, the bulk of the how-to now led the practical skills of quarrying, transporting, and lifting massive stones would have been managed and taught orally by master builders and foremen. These were vast, multi-generational projects. The knowledge had to be preserved and passed on perfectly from the masters who started the project to the apprentices who would one day finish it. So, when we look at an ancient artifact, we're not just seeing an object. We are seeing the final product of a long, invisible chain of human connection. We're seeing the skill of a teacher and the dedication of a student. We're seeing knowledge that was considered so precious it was kept alive, voice by voice, hand by hand, across the deep gulf of time. It's a powerful reminder that before we had written language, before we had the internet, our greatest technology was our ability to communicate, to share what we know, and to build the future together. The next time you teach someone something or learn something new from a friend or family member, take a moment to appreciate that connection. You're not just sharing information. You're taking part in the oldest and most fundamental human tradition of all. You're forging another link in that incredible chain that connects us all to our shared past. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into our shared history, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from the human past. Look, my little one, come closer. See this? This is our new friend. Feel its weight in your hand. Not too heavy, is it? Just right. It fits perfectly, like it was made just for us. Let me show you what it can do. Watch, Mama. We'll start with this hide. It's still a bit rough. See? We need to make it soft and smooth, so it can keep us warm when the cold winds blow. Now, watch my hands. I hold the tool like this, firmly but gently. You don't need to force it. Let the tool do the work. It knows the way. It's a slow dance, a quiet song between my hand and the hide. I pull it across the surface, hoose like teeth. Hear that sound? Shia. A soft whisper. Scrape, scrape, scrape. It's like stroking a sleeping animal. With the edge past, we peel away the roughness, revealing the softness underneath. See this little bit of hair and fat? It comes away so easy. The edge is keen and true. It's all about the rhythm. Find a rhythm that feels good, in and out. like your own breath. A steady pace. There's no need to rush. Rushing makes mistakes. Slow and steady wins the day, every time. You see how my arm moves from the shoulder? It's not just the wrist. This way, you won't get tired. You can work like this for a long, long time, and it feels like you've only just begun. Look at the difference already. Feel this part where I've worked. Smooth, isn't it? Now feel the part we haven't touched. It's a big change. This tool is a good one. It listens to my hand. It does exactly what I ask of it. A good tool is a partner, a helper. It makes the hard work feel not so hard. It feels like purpose. Now, let's try something else. Come with me to the water's edge. See these reeds? Tall and strong. We can use these for so many things. We can weave them into mats to sleep on, or baskets to carry berries in. But first, we need to gather them. Watch again. This time, the motion is different. It's not a long scrape. It's a quick, clean slice. Hold the reed steady with one hand, down near the base. Then, bring the tool in. A swift flick of the wrist. Snap. Did you see that? It cut through so cleanly. No ragged edges. Just a perfect, straight cut. Let's do another one. And another. It's a different kind of rhythm, isn't it? A quicker beat. Slice, gather. Slice, gather. It's almost like a dance. We take what we need, and we are thankful for it. The sound is sharp and satisfying. A little pop as the reed is freed. The sun is warm on our backs. The water laps at our feet. It's good work. Honest work. And with a tool like this, it's a joy. It doesn't fight back. It doesn't complain. It just works beautifully and simply. You try now. No, not with this sharp one yet. I have a smaller, duller one for you to practice with. But first, just watch Mama a little longer. Watch the movements. Feel the rhythm in your own body. See how my shoulders are relaxed. My breathing is even. The work flows through me. It's not a struggle. When you are working, your mind should be quiet. Just focus on the task in front of you. Focus on the feel of the tool in your hand, the texture of the hide, the snap of the reed. Let all other thoughts drift away like clouds in the sky. There is only this moment, this tool, this task. It is a kind of meditation, a way to be truly present. I remember when my own mother taught me. We sat just like this, under the same sun. Her hands were weathered and strong, and they moved with a grace that seemed impossible. She told me that every task, no matter how small, is a chance to create something good, to take something raw and make it useful, to make it beautiful. And that's what we're doing. We're not just scraping a hide or cutting reeds. We are making warmth. We are making comfort. We are making a home. And this tool, this wonderful new tool, is helping us do it. Look at this pile of reeds we've gathered. It didn't take long at all. And look at this hide. It's almost ready. Soon, it will be a soft blanket for you to wrap up, and when you sleep, you will be warm and safe, and you will know that this warmth came from our own two hands. One day, you will be the one teaching your little one. You will show them how to hold the tool, how to find the rhythm. You will tell them to be patient, to be gentle, to be strong, and you will pass on this knowledge, just as it was passed on to me. It is a chain that connects us all, through all the seasons, through all the years. This is more than just work, my child. This is our life. It is beautiful, and it is good. Now, come. Sit with me. Let's finish this hide together. You can help me pull it taut while I do the last few scrapes. We are a good team. You and I, thanks for watching our journey today. If you enjoyed this quiet moment with us, consider subscribing to follow along. We'll see you again soon. Look around you. This is not just a place. It is a living, breathing tapestry of shared existence. Here, life is a rhythm, a gentle hum of purpose that resonates through the air. The scrape of stone against hide is a steady beat, a promise of warmth against the coming chill. Each stroke is a note in the song of survival, a craft passed down through generations, ensuring no one in the community faces the cold alone. The sight of neighbors working side by side, their hands moving in practiced harmony, is a testament to their shared knowledge and mutual reliance. Listen closely. You can hear the soft splash of water, a sound as vital as a heartbeat. Women and men move with a quiet grace, their vessels filled from the life-giving stream. This is more than a chore. It is a shared pilgrimage, a daily ritual that binds them to the land and to each other. The water they carry will not just quench a single thirst, but will be used to cook, to clean, to sustain the entire group. Every drop is a symbol of their collective effort, a reminder that their strength lies not in individuality, but in their unity. Now, breathe in the air. It's filled with the rich, smoky aroma of a communal fire, the scent of roasting roots and herbs mingling together. Laughter floats up from a group of children as they play, their games mimicking the tasks of their elders, learning the ways of the world through joy and imitation. The fire is the heart of the village, a central point where stories are told. Food is sared, and bonds are forged in its warm, dancing light. It's a beacon of safety and belonging. Observe the quiet exchanges, the subtle gestures of support. A piece of dried meat is offered without a word. A helping hand is extended to lift a heavy load. These are the threads that weave the strong fabric of their society. There are no grand declarations, only the simple, profound acts of caring for one another. In this world, the well-being of the individual is inseparable from the health of the community. To help a neighbor is to help yourself. This is the essence of community life. It's a dance of cooperation, where every person has a role, and every contribution, no matter how small, adds to the greater whole. The tanning of hides, the carrying of water, the preparation of food, these are not isolated tasks. They are interconnected parts of a larger system, a beautiful and intricate web of interdependence. Each person is a vital thread, and together, they create something strong, resilient, and enduring. The elders sit, their faces etched with the wisdom of countless seasons. They watch over the young, their presence a silent assurance of continuity. Their stories are the community's memory, their guidance the compass that directs the future. Knowledge is not hoarded here. It is a gift, freely given to ensure the survival and prosperity of all. The lessons of which plants heal, which woods burn hottest, and how to read the stars are shared openly around the evening fire. As the sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the camp, the pace of life slows, but does not stop. The day's work transitions into the evening's gathering. Families merge into one larger family, sharing the fruits of their collective labor. The food tastes sweeter because it was gathered together. The warmth of the fire feels more comforting because it was built with shared effort. This is the quiet power of community. It's a world built not on contracts or currency, but on trust and reciprocity. The understanding that if you share your catch today, someone will share theirs with you tomorrow. It is a security that comes from knowing you are part of something larger than yourself, that you will be cared for, and that you have a purpose in caring for others. This deep-seated connection is their greatest tool, more valuable than any spear or flint knife. This is a portrait of humanity in its most fundamental form, a network of relationships, a system of mutual support that allows not just for survival, but for a rich and meaningful life. In every shared meal, in every collaborative task, in every story told under the vast, star-filled sky, we see the enduring truth that we are stronger, safer, and happier together. This is the quiet, powerful, and beautiful rhythm of community life. Thank you for watching. The sun bleeds across the horizon, painting the sky in fiery shades of orange, purple, and gold. Its last rays stretched long shadows from the ancient trees that stand like silent sentinels around our small clearing. Down below, the world is surrendering to the embrace of twilight, the vibrant greens of the day softening into deep blues and inky blacks. The air grows cooler, carrying the scent of damp earth, pine needles, and the promise of a peaceful night. Here, by the crackling fire, a different kind of warmth pushes back the encroaching chill. Flames dance and flicker, casting a golden, living light on our faces, a tiny beacon of life and comfort in the vast, quiet wilderness. It's a ritual as old as time, this gathering around the fire as darkness falls, a moment of pause, of reflection, of simply being. The world slows down, and everything that matters is right here, within this circle of light. I look down at the small treasure resting in my hands. It's the tool my child made, a simple thing of wood and stone, yet it feels as precious as any jewel. My fingers trace the smooth, worn contours of the wooden handle, feeling the care and effort that went into shaping it. The stone point is lashed securely with sinew, each wrap tight and precise. It's a testament to a lesson learned, a skill mastered. It represents so much more than just a tool. It's a piece of our history, a symbol of survival and ingenuity, passed down through generations. I remember my own mother teaching me, her hands guiding mine, just as I guided my child's. This small object holds the weight of our lineage, the echoes of our ancestors who sat by fires just like this one, crafting their own tools, their own futures. It's a promise that our knowledge, our legacy, will continue. It speaks of resilience, of the human spirit's unyielding drive to create, to adapt, to thrive against all odds. With a gentle reverence, I carefully place the tool among our most important belongings. It nestles beside the well-worn leather pouch holding our fire-starting kit, the sharp obsidian knife used for preparing our meals, and the dried herbs for healing. It doesn't look out of place. It has earned its spot. It is no longer just a child's practice piece. It is now part of our family's collection of essential items, a functional piece of our life. Its inclusion signifies a milestone, a rite of passage. My child is no longer just learning. They are now contributing. This small, simple act of adding their creation to our collective gear feels monumental. It's an acknowledgement of their growing capabilities, their value to our small family unit. In this quiet moment, the tool transforms from an object into a story, a memory, a vital part of our journey. Tea fire pops, sending a shower of bright sparks spiraling up into the night sky, like fleeting stars returning to the heavens. The warmth from the flames is a comforting blanket against the cool night air. I feel a gentle weight settle against my side, a soft, rhythmic breathing against my arm. I look down and see my child, their head now resting on my shoulder, their body completely relaxed in the deep, trusting slumber of the young. Their face, illuminated by the fire's gentle glow, is peaceful, free from the day's exertions and a world of worries. The long lashes cast tiny shadows on their cheeks. One small hand is curled loosely in their lap, the other still clutching a piece of smoothed river stone they found earlier. In sleep, they look so small, so vulnerable, yet I know the strength and resilience that lies within that small frame. Leaning back against the smooth bark of the old tree, I wrap my arm around my child, pulling them closer into the circle of my warmth. The steady, rhythmic beat of their heart against my side is a soothing drum, a counterpoint to the crackle of the fire and the distant, lonely call of a night bird. The world outside our small circle of light seems to fade away, becoming a distant hum. All the challenges of the day, the constant search for food, the weary miles we traveled, they all dissolve in this moment of profound peace. There is only the fire, the vast, stardusted sky above, and the precious, warm weight of my child sleeping safely against me. This is what we strive for, what we fight for. Not just survival, but these moments of quiet connection, of unconditional love, of perfect, serene stillness. The moon begins its slow ascent, a silver sliver cutting through the canopy of leaves, casting a soft, ethereal glow on the forest floor. The fire has burned down to a bed of glowing, ruby-red embers, pulsing with a gentle, consistent heat. The flames have softened to a low, hypnotic dance. The scent of wood smoke hangs heavy and comforting in the air. I close my eyes, not to sleep, but to fully immerse myself in this moment. I commit every detail to memory, the weight of my child's head on my shoulder, the soft sound of their breathing, the warmth of the embers on my skin, the deep, resonant silence of the forest at night. This is sanctuary. This is home. It's not a place made of walls and a roof, but a feeling, a connection forged in the heart of the wilderness. It's the unwavering bond between a mother and her child, illuminated by the ancient light of an evening fire. Hasisit, Erigardia, in the quiet dark. I feel a deep sense of gratitude welling up inside me. Gratitude for the day's successes, for the food that fills our bellies, for the skills that keep us safe. But most of all, I am grateful for this small, sleeping person beside me. They are my purpose, my joy, my entire world. Every hardship is worth it for moments like this. The future is uncertain, the path ahead unknown. But tonight, none of that matters. Tonight, we are safe. We are together. We are at peace. The fire will keep us warm, and the stars will watch over us. I gently press a kiss to the top of my child's head, whispering a silent promise into the night to protect this peace, to nurture this life for all the nights to come. The embers glow softly, like a sleeping heart, and in the deep, tranquil quiet of the forest, all is well. Thanks for joining us on this journey. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more chapters. Your support helps us continue to bring these stories to life. We'll see you next time. And so, our journey with Kale and his tribe comes to a close. But the story they represent, the story of humanity, is far from over. It's a story we can still read today, not in books, but in the earth beneath our feet. Every time an archaeologist unearths a piece of our past, they're finding a page from this epic tale. Think about it. We've followed Kale as he learned to craft his first stone tool. We saw him struggle. We saw him succeed. And we saw the patience of his mentor guiding his hands. How do we know moments like these actually happened tens of thousands of years ago? It's because the evidence is left behind, like echoes in stone. When archaeologists excavate a site, they don't just find perfect, finished. They find so much more. They find the debris, the leftovers of the learning process. They find piles of tiny, sharp flint flakes. These aren't just trash. They're the signature of a knapper at work. The size, the shape, the sheer number of these flakes can tell us if a master craftsman was working, or if a novice was just starting out. Imagine a spot where you find a cluster of large, awkwardly struck flakes next to a few failed attempts, maybe a core that shattered unexpectedly. This isn't a sign of failure. It's the signature of a classroom. It's the physical proof of a teaching moment. Here, someone was learning. Someone was trying, and probably messing up, just like Kale did. And right beside that evidence of a learner, you might find a perfectly shaped, heavily used hammer. This could be the teacher's tool, the one they used to demonstrate the correct technique. These hammerstones are fascinating artifacts in their own right. They're often simple, rounded river cobbles, but they bear the scars of their use. You can see the pitting and battering on their surface where they repeatedly struck flint. An experienced knapper's hammerstone will show controlled, focused wear. A beginner's, well, you might find more random, erratic marks, telling a story of less controlled strikes. The tools themselves tell us about the skill of the hands that held them. Archaeologists can even read the stories on the finished tools. This is where the magic of use-wear analysis comes in. By examining the microscopic scratches, polishes, and tiny chips along the edge of a stone tool under a powerful microscope, we can determine exactly how it was used. Was it used to scrape animal hides? The edge will have a soft, greasy polish. Was it used to cut wood? That leaves behind a different, brighter polish and distinct striations. Butchering an animal leaves yet another set of marks. This incredible science allows us to see the tool not just as an object, but as an extension of a person's life. We can tell if a blade was a multi-purpose pocket knife of the Paleolithic, used for a variety of daily tasks, or a specialized weapon, pristine and reserved only for the hunt. We can see the moment a tool broke and was then resharpened or retouched, giving it a new life. This resharpening is another sign of learning and resourcefulness. It shows a deep understanding of the material, a knowledge passed down through generations. Don't waste what you have. Adapt and overcome. So when we find a site with a mix of everything expertly crafted tools, beginners, mistakes, the debittage of production, the hammerstones used for teaching, and wear on the tools that tells us of their daily use, we are not just looking at a collection of rocks. We are looking at a snapshot of a community. We are standing in a Paleolithic workshop, a school, a home. We can almost hear the tap, tap, tap of stone on stone, the murmur of a teacher's instructions, the grunt of frustration from a student, and the quiet pride of a lesson learned. These scattered fragments, the flakes, the cores, the imperfect points are the words, sentences, and paragraphs of our ancestors' lives. They are markers of human learning, tangible evidence of the transfer of knowledge. They prove that from our very earliest days, we have been a species that teaches, that learns, and that shares. The story of Kale and his first spearhead is not just a fantasy. It's a narrative built from these very real clues. It gives a voice to the silent stones and breathes life into the archaeological record. It reminds us that every artifact was once held by a human hand, guided by a human mind. And that is the most profound legacy of all. The skills Kale learned, the patience, the precision, the understanding of materials were passed down to him, and he would one day pass them on to the next generation. This created an unbroken chain of knowledge, stretching across millennia. It's a chain that has been added to, link by link, with every new discovery and every new idea. The technology has changed. Of course, we've gone from flint and bone to silicon and steel, but the fundamental process is the same. The spark of curiosity, the desire to create, the need to teach and to learn, that is the essence of what makes us human. That spirit, born around ancient fires and whispered through generations, is alive in us today. It's in every classroom, every workshop, every lab, and every time we share what we know with someone else. We are the legacy of those ancient hands. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey into the past. I hope it has given you a new appreciation for the stones beneath our feet and the incredible stories they tell. If you enjoyed this series, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who love history as much as we do. Until next time, stay curious.